Local scientists have made an exciting discovery on the seafloor along the Cascadia subduction zone.
That's the same zone that could someday give Western Washington the big one, a 9.0 earthquake.
Beneath the calm waters of the Pacific Northwest lies an unseen force that could forever change life for millions of people. This force is the Cascadia subduction zone, a massive fault line that stretches over 620 miles. It begins near northern Vancouver Island in Canada and reaches as far south as northern California. Hidden beneath the ocean floor, this fault line is where two tectonic plates meet, the Juan-de Fuca plate and the North American plate. These plates have been locked together for centuries, silently building up energy. One day, that energy will be released in a catastrophic earthquake, likely followed by a massive tsunami. The science behind the Cascadia subduction zone is both fascinating and terrifying. Unlike faults like California's San Andreas, which primarily move horizontally, subduction zones involve one tectonic plate sliding under another. This creates vertical movement that can shift the ocean floor by tens of feet in mere seconds. When this happens, it sends shockwaves through the earth and displaces huge volumes of water, triggering a tsunami that can travel at speeds of over 500 miles per hour. Oregon and the rest of the Pacific Northwest are highly vulnerable to another massive earthquake from the Cascadia subduction zone. Scientists estimate that the region has a 37% chance of experiencing a magnitude 7.1 or greater earthquake in the next 50 years. Scientists have studied this fault in great detail, and their findings show that it has the potential to produce one of the largest earthquakes in human history, a magnitude 9.0 or higher. Such an event is not just possible, it is inevitable. The only uncertainty is when it will happen. Tsunamis as high as 100 feet could strike the coastline, devastating communities and causing loss of life. The intensity of shaking would gradually decrease as you move further inland, but the effects would still be felt throughout the region. The last time the Cascadia subduction zone ruptured was over 300 years ago, on January 26, 1700. Scientists estimate that the earthquake had a magnitude of around 9.0 and it triggered a tsunami that reached as far as Japan. This event was reconstructed using a combination of oral histories from indigenous peoples, sedimentary evidence along the Pacific Northwest coast, and written records from Japan, where the tsunami caused significant destruction. Geological evidence shows that massive earthquakes like this have occurred along the Cascadia Fault every 300 to 600 years. This means we are already within the expected time window for the next event. When the Cascadia megathrust earthquake strikes, the effects will be devastating. The shaking from the earthquake could last for several minutes, far longer than most earthquakes. Buildings that are not designed to withstand prolonged seismic activity will collapse, and roads, bridges, and railways will suffer severe damage. In major cities like Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver, skyscrapers could sway violently, and older structures may crumble. Coastal towns will face the worst of the destruction, as they will also be hit by the tsunami. The tsunami is expected to arrive within 15 to 30 minutes after the earthquake. This massive wall of water, possibly as high as 100 feet, will surge inland, sweeping away everything in its path: homes, cars, trees, and people. Entire communities along the coast, such as Cannon Beach in Oregon or Crescent City in California, could be completely wiped out. Warning systems may provide some time for people to evacuate, but in many cases, it will not be enough. Low-lying areas could become uninhabitable for years due to flooding and debris. Beyond the immediate destruction, the long-term impacts will be equally severe. Transportation networks will be crippled. Highways and bridges will be destroyed, cutting off access to critical areas. Airports and seaports, which are essential for disaster response, will likely be unusable. The region's power grid will collapse, leaving millions without electricity for weeks or even months. Water supplies and sewage systems will fail, and communication networks will be disrupted, making it difficult for people to call for help or get news about the situation. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has predicted that everything west of Interstate 5, the main highway running through the Pacific Northwest, will face complete destruction. This means that over 10 million people will be directly affected. It could take months or even years to restore basic services like electricity, clean water, and health care. Along the coast where the damage will be most severe, recovery could take decades. The economic toll of the Cascadia earthquake will be staggering. Experts estimate that the total cost of the disaster could reach hundreds of billions of dollars. Major companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Nike, and Boeing, which are headquartered in the region, may be forced to relocate, dealing a huge blow to the local economy. Many residents may also choose to leave, unwilling or unable to rebuild their lives in a devastated region. The Pacific Northwest, known for its vibrant cities and natural beauty, could take an entire generation to recover fully. The Cascadia megathrust earthquake is often compared to other major seismic events, such as the 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan and the 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake. Both of these disasters were caused by subduction zones similar to Cascadia, and both resulted in massive loss of life and property. The 2011 earthquake in Japan, which had a magnitude of 9.1, caused nearly 16,000 deaths and triggered the Fukushima nuclear disaster. Despite Japan's advanced earthquake preparedness, the scale of the disaster overwhelmed the country. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake, which also had a magnitude of around 9.1, triggered a tsunami that killed over 230,000 people across 14 countries. These events serve as stark reminders of the destructive power of megathrust earthquakes and the importance of preparation. In the Pacific Northwest, efforts to prepare for the Cascadia earthquake are underway, but much more needs to be done. Seismic retrofitting of buildings, bridges, and other infrastructure is crucial to reduce the damage. Early warning systems, which can provide a few seconds to a few minutes of advance notice, are being developed and deployed. Public education campaigns are teaching residents how to prepare for and respond to an earthquake and tsunami. Emergency supplies, evacuation plans, and community drills can save lives when the disaster strikes. But these efforts face significant challenges. Many buildings in the Pacific Northwest were not built with earthquakes in mind, especially older structures. Retrofitting these buildings is expensive and time-consuming. Coastal communities are particularly vulnerable because they are located so close to the fault line, leaving little time to evacuate after the earthquake. Funding for disaster preparedness is often limited, and convincing people to take the threat seriously can be difficult when the disaster seems distant or abstract. Despite these challenges, there is hope. Scientists, engineers, and policymakers are working together to make the region more resilient. The lessons learned from past disasters, both in North America and around the world, are guiding these efforts. For example, Japan's strict building codes and advanced warning systems have saved countless lives in smaller earthquakes. The Indian Ocean tsunami led to the creation of an international warning system to alert coastal communities of impending tsunamis. By learning from these experiences, the Pacific Northwest can better prepare for the Cascadia earthquake. Preparing for an earthquake might seem like a daunting task, but small, consistent efforts can make a significant difference. One of the first steps you can take is signing up for emergency alerts. These alerts can provide life-saving warnings before or during a disaster. Modern technology, such as the Shake Alert Earthquake Early Warning System, can send notifications to your smartphone seconds before the ground starts shaking, giving you time to take protective actions. Ensuring your phone settings are configured to receive these alerts is vital. Also, you can subscribe to local government alert systems, which provide updates specific to your area. Knowing how to respond to an earthquake is equally important. As soon as you receive an alert or feel the ground shaking, the best course of action is to drop, cover, and hold on. This simple technique can significantly reduce the risk of injury. Dropping to your hands and knees prevents you from being knocked over, covering your head and neck protects you from falling debris, and holding onto sturdy furniture ensures you stay in a safe position.